Okay guys, I'm going to apologize because in today's video there's a lot of fiddling with my hair because I'm having a bad hair day. But before we get into today's video, which is a very important one, you really need to check it out. You really need to listen and take that into your hearts, okay? Please subscribe to this channel. I do a lot of fun things on here, apart from this fun podcast thing. So subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on all the other fun videos that are not as serious as this one. And remember to, just like this video if you feel like the message resonates with you. And you can also comment things you would like me to talk about in the future, or if you watch the other videos, perhaps things about them, whatever, or just comment something to inspire someone on this lovely Monday that we're having. And with all of that chit chat gone on for too long, I was trying to rhyme there. Let's get into today's video, guys. You gotta be the change you want to see in the world. If you can tell me who said that, congratulations. I would say you win something, but I really have nothing to give you. But that quote is very important to think about when you listen to what we're going to talk about today. Okay. Be the change you want to see in the world. It sounds really nice. It sounds like such an inspiring quote that's just perfect for your Instagram or your Twitter or whatever status you're putting out. But let's think about that for a second, because the title of today's episode is Fix Yourself. Very simple title. But what do I mean by that? We have spoken before on this podcast slash YouTube podcast. I don't know what you call it when it's on YouTube, but it's a podcast video thing. We've talked before about the increased levels of depression in our generation, Generation Z. And I think a really big reason for this is that, yes, there are a lot of problems in the world. There are a lot, okay? You can't even make a list because the list will be way too long, okay? And I think the reason that we are so stressed and depressed, I am aware that rhymes, that's why I did it, is because we want to take it upon ourselves to fix everything. Like, they always say, we are the future, because our generation is now, kind of coming up into the adult space, into the workspace, and we need to fix the things that have been broken by previous generations. And that is a lot of pressure to put on a generation. And I think sometimes it gets really overwhelming because you see these huge problems that you have absolutely no idea what to do. Like, how on earth do I fix this? And it gets really overwhelming and you get really stressed out. So that is why today I titled this episode Fix Yourself. Okay? So obviously none of us is perfect. Okay? No one on this planet is perfect or will ever be perfect. And I'm not trying to say make yourself perfect, because that is impossible. That is not what I'm trying to say, okay? What I'm trying to say is that you, as an individual person, will never, ever be able to fix the world. You are one human being, and this is not to insult you. I can say that to myself even. As an individual, I will never be able to fix the entire world. That is just not going to happen. I'm a human being. The problem is that because there are so many problems out there in the world, there are a lot of big problems out there in the world, we want to focus on those big problems and try to find a way to fix them. And usually we get overwhelmed and stressed out because we can't actually think of a solution because the problems are too big. But the thing that we miss is the small problems that we have. And we all have problems and we're all working on them and we're all trying to fix them. or at least I hope we are trying. If you're struggling, that means you are trying, because if you're not struggling, it means you have given up and you're not trying. That's why I always say it's okay to struggle, because struggling means you're trying, okay? And that is the thing I think we need to start learning again. We need to start learning to look at the smaller picture for a second, okay? I know in some cases you need to look at the big picture, but I think in today's case, the thing we're discussing today, we need to start looking at the smaller picture, because you're not going to take on one humongous problem and fix that. But like it's always said, you reach a really big goal by reaching smaller goals first. You get to the top by taking very small steps. And I think starting by solving smaller problems can eventually lead to bigger problems being solved. And I think the smallest part that we can break this down to is ourselves. We need to fix ourselves first. And that is why I said that quote in the beginning. Be the change you want to see in the world. Because how are you going to change anything in the world if you don't even have yourself under control? Okay, so that's where we need to start. You need to start by looking inward. And I'm not saying you need to criticize every single thing about yourself, because humans have good and bad qualities. And it's okay to acknowledge your good qualities and to be confident about your good qualities, of course. And you need to be able to recognize your bad qualities. We all have those, our weaknesses, okay? But I'm not saying point out your weaknesses and dwell on them. I'm saying point out your weaknesses, and the weaknesses that you can turn into strengths, do that. Work on yourself first, okay? And then you'll never perfect yourself, because like I said, we're not perfect. But when you feel like you're at a place where you can handle life, you're working on your weaknesses, you've embraced your strengths, you're strong enough, start small. Start perhaps within your own family. Inspire them to start working. Because if you think about it, if each of us, I'm not saying to be selfish, because you need to know where the line is. You need to take care of yourself, but you don't have to be selfish about it to the point where you just ignore everybody else. If every single person worked on themselves to better themselves, most of the problems in the world will kind of solve themselves, because we'll all be working, we'll all become better people. And when all of us become better people, you know, the problems will be handled better. But if there are people that can't take that individual leap and need some inspiration. So if you feel like you have worked on yourself and you have, worked out some of your issues and you're on a good path, you can start small. Perhaps your family unit, perhaps a friend, and they can inspire more people. And it can be like the butterfly effect, the small, and it spreads. And I think once we as individuals take responsibility for our own problems and our own issues, and we start working on our own problems and our own issues, then we can start looking at the bigger problems, okay? But you need to take small steps towards this. You can't go from one day saying, okay, I'm going to stop overthinking, and then, okay, I'm going to sort out, the economic crisis the next day. That is not the progression that you need. It can be, okay, I'm going to try to stop overthinking so much, and you work on that. And then perhaps, okay, we as a family, we are going to start having dinner together again around the dinner table, perhaps. Start talking to each other, okay? Then you step to the family. Then perhaps you can, at work, with your colleagues or your friends, within your own community, you can start doing something. That community group can then make bigger, tackle bigger problems. But you can't go from one day saying, okay, I'm going to fix my overthinking problem, and the next day, okay, I'm going to fix the entire global economy. That's not how it works, okay? And you will not be able to change anything in the world if you can't, fix yourself first, okay? And I know all of us have struggles that are ongoing and that will never fully go away. But if you feel like you can work on yourself to the point where you have a handle on things and you have coping mechanisms when these struggles become too much, you have ways to handle them, then you can start looking outward again. And like I said, you need to tread that line very finely between taking care of yourself and being selfish. You do need to allocate time to work on yourself, definitely 100%, but don't forget the other people in your life as well. So there's a fine balance between giving too much of yourself to other people and not enough to yourself, or giving too much to yourself and not enough to other people. So you really need to find a balance that works for you. And once you feel like you as a person have a handle on things and you have a way of coping when things do get tough, then go out and perhaps talk to another person and start inspiring another person. Perhaps you start with your family, perhaps you start with your friend group, okay? Then as a community, because these people then again go out and do the same. And if we can become better people first, better individuals first, then as better individuals, we can become better communities. When we become better communities, we can change our community and we can do better as a group. And eventually, when it goes, you will eventually be able to tackle the bigger problems because you will have a group of people who worked on themselves first and then came together. Okay, so it's the thing of fixing yourself first. And that's not, when I say fix, I don't mean you're broken. Okay, it's a catchy title. That's why I used it. I don't mean fix yourselves in the sense that you are broken. Like I explained, I mean it in the sense that we all have issues. We all have things we struggle with. We all have problems. And if we can't deal with those problems, we will not be able to deal with real world issues because we as individuals still don't have a handle on ourselves. How do you expect to handle the world's problems when you can't even handle your own problems? Think about it, okay? So introspection is very important. You need to start working on yourself. Start working on yourself. Start figuring out your own issues. Start figuring out ways to handle these issues. And like I said, some of these issues, some of these struggles never fully go away and completely disappear out of your life. Some do, which is convenient, but others don't. So you need to find a way to cope when they do come back into your life. Okay, so you need to get a handle on your own problems. You need to work on your own weaknesses before you can tackle the world's problems, okay? And that's why I said you need to take it step by step. You can't, as an individual, expect to solve the entire world's problems. So you should not take that stress upon yourself. That's another thing we need to change our mindsets about. Don't tell yourself that you need to fix the world, okay? Because you're just going to overwhelm yourself. Tell yourself, listen, I can work on myself, I can help other people around me, and together they can help other people around them. Eventually, we will become enough to fix the world's problems. Maybe not fix them completely, but at least be strong enough to tackle them, okay? So that's basically the piece I wanted to say. I just really want to stress the fact that we need to work on ourselves before we can work on anything else. Because if you're not strong enough to handle your own problems, you won't be able to handle the world's problems. Just think about that one. And remember the fine line between self-care and selfishness, okay? You don't want to not take care of yourself and just give to other people, but you also don't want to just give to yourself and forget about other people, because eventually we're all going to need someone to get together and make small changes that will eventually lead to bigger changes. Okay, so today's episode is a little bit shorter, but I feel like that point is just really important to mention. That's why I made this video. Take care of yourself, fix yourself, like I said, not in the fact that you're broken. I'm not saying you are broken as a person, but we all have things that need to be addressed, that need to be fixed, okay? and then start looking outward. Then start looking at small changes you can make around you, and these small changes will eventually lead to bigger changes. But also change your mindset. Tell yourself that I do not need to fix the entire world's problems. I can start by fixing my problems. Perhaps then I can move on to fixing something in my family group or in my friendship group. Then eventually that will go up to fixing bigger things. Okay, so don't put that stress on yourself. You do not need to fix the entire world by yourself. If you can get yourself in a place where you feel strong enough to handle your own life and you can help other people, eventually enough people will come together and enough people will be there to tackle the problems of the world. Okay, but don't take that just on yourself and as an individual. You're going to stress yourself out. You're going to be completely overwhelmed. Okay, so be the change you want to see in the world. You as an individual, change yourself in the way that you wish you could change the world, and then perhaps you'll inspire someone else to do it, and eventually there will be enough people that we can actually make a huge change in the world. Okay, so that is my message for today. It's a little bit shorter than usual, still not really short, it's like a couple of minutes, I think 15 minutes. But I think it was a really important message that I really just wanted to tell you guys. And I hope you have a lovely Monday wherever you are. If your day is already over, I don't know, time zones, I hope you had a lovely Monday. If your day is still up and coming, I hope you have a lovely Monday. And remember, start working on yourself and then look outward. Okay, but don't try to tackle the whole world's problems by yourself. Have a nice day, guys, and I will see you for the YouTube people on the next video, and for the podcast listeners, I will chat to you guys on the next podcast. Have a good day. Hi guys, if you liked today's video, remember to like, comment and subscribe, and to put on the notifications so that you get notified when I put up another video. Like I said, I do this podcast every Monday, but I also do a lot of other fun videos, little more light-hearted videos. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure notifications are on.